Hi, everybody. Welcome to We Are Feel. This is your host, Rita.
And Leah.
Welcome to another episode. We're so glad that you have stuck through, been listening to our content, which is really dope of you guys to do. I hope you've listened to the latest episode, which is on our bodies. We really talk a lot about our experiences with our bodies since we were young. So please catch up on that even as you listen into this episode. And also a special shout out to everybody who's been sharing with their friends, sending us texts, like putting it on their WhatsApp status, on their Insta stories. Thank you guys so much. We see you and we really appreciate you.
Yes.
So today's topic.
So today's topic, it's an interesting one because it's about adulting. And apparently adulting is a slang that I don't know if we are the Gen Zs, I don't know what to call ourselves nowadays, that we have come up with to refer to this process that you're going through right now. And so, so you're going to talk about things that we think that now that make us think now that we're adults, right? And also like things, and also we'll talk about our expectations and what we thought adulting was and what it is now. And so I'm so excited. Are you? Are you looking forward?
I know.
I think adulting is a process. And so I think let's just jump into it. What do you think? What was your thought of what adulthood was? How would you have defined adulthood when you were a kid, and how would you define adulthood now? Or what did you think about adulting when you were a kid, and how do you define adulting now?
I think when I was a kid, adulting for me meant moving out of my mom's house and just living my own life and not having to run anything by anybody, But for me, the first step when I was a kid, I was just like, immediately I finish high school.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for a house, buy these bean bags for my sitting room. Like, just get out of the house and have my own place, and then I'll figure out campus and all those things. Like, it was just mediocre at the time.
Yeah.
Because I was just
acceptable.
I need just to be away from home and just make my own decisions. I felt like Form 4, I'm a grown up. Like I can make decisions on my own. Like, what is looking for a job, I can find a job easily. So for me, I wasn't like, oh, I know this is a process. I don't know what. I was just like, finish school, move out, get a good job, start getting money, start spending money. I wasn't even thinking, start saving money. I was just like, start getting them cash, spending them cash, going out, buying stuff that I wanted, all those
that you
things.
Wouldn't get when you're young.
Yeah, that took ages. You're like, mom. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
But then when I grew up, I'm not even sure when it clicked that I'm an adult. I think when I went to campus. No. I think when I went to campus, and I was so scared. I was crying when mom left. I was so scared because I'd never been so far from home. Like, even high school was close to home. Primary was close to home. But when I went to campus all the way to Eldoret, it was so far, and it felt like now literally I'm alone. I have been given money, yes, but how I spend this money, and my mom is strict. Pesa umepewa for 1 month, ni pesa ya 1 month. You better squeeze in your partying, your food, everything, but it fit your budget. So I was like, now I felt like, oh my God, now I need to behave like an adult. I need to figure out how this money will sustain me till the end of the month. I need to make sure I don't do some weird shit and then go home, maybe sick or something. Like, I just need to make sure I am okay. Everything that my mom would expect of me, I'm doing. All those kind of aspects. But also, it didn't feel like being grown up entirely, because if something happened, if I was sick, I'd still have the buffer of calling home, which I think even now I do. But at that point, it was like, you're partially an adult, like a young adult. You're still somehow I still have a buffer in a way, and then in another way I didn't, because there's some decisions and some like shit you do in campus and you cannot call home. So that also made me feel like, okay, now I really need to grow up real fast. And then now coming into my 20s, like right now, I think now I'm looking at adulthood as just making my own decisions, owning up to my own decisions, and then trying to make decisions that are really positive for me in a way. Like I'm not thinking about when I get money, I'm not thinking about, oh, what will I buy? Oh, I am starting to think, okay, if I get old, what will happen? Do I need to work until my back breaks or something? So now my version of adulthood is more responsibility and looking out for me. I think more into the future than even right now. Like you just take care of yourself enough that is like sustaining yourself now, but being able to plan for the future is now what I think my adulthood looks like.
Nice. For me, when I was young, defining adulthood was just the kiddish things.
Yeah.
You want to, it was being like you're big first, that no one keeps on telling you you're a baby or something.
How umbiliki.
Yeah. And also the fact that now you can buy whatever you want. You know, that dress that somebody told you they wouldn't buy for you, like, when I grow up, I'm gonna buy that dress.
You're going to fit into
You
that
didn't
dress.
pay for me that boot camp, that shape. I'll go. When I grow up, I'll go there, you know.
Yeah.
And then, so it was just more childish. It wasn't like it had any like substance, but one of the things that I knew was that whatever decision I make, it has a consequence. If I don't put in what I need to put in today, then tomorrow there'll be a consequence that I'll need to suffer. And I understood that, like, since I was in primary school, I knew in order to be the best in, for example, math, I needed to put in the work to know math. Because I remember, like, in school, I wasn't very good at, like, ancient compositions. I was horrible in writing. Until now, it's not something that I would, like, say it was my number one skill. It's not. And so what I used to do is, I knew if I needed to be among the top students, I needed to put in the work now to be able to at least be the best, because I'm good at these other things. So that's an understanding I had since I was young. So I knew that's what I need to make if I wanted to get to a certain place. And then in my teens, I think it was mostly it was just about my choices. I really was also looking out for myself, making sure that I'm in a healthy space, because also being in school in leadership and then home was not very stable. I needed to always constantly remind myself to be in a very the right headspace for myself, to be able to kind of navigate through all the situations that I was going through at that time, because there was a lot of moving, there's a lot of family things. So I used to look for places that I would feel safe, or I would have a clear headspace, so that I do not have resentment. Don't feel I don't turn up to make bad decisions because of what's happening.
Yeah.
And so I think I was more of like, I need to just choose things that put myself in places that I'm feeling better, or I'm feeling safer, and I can be able to kind of not be in a toxic place. And also being in school and in leadership, and it's a girls' school, it can be quite toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't have like also that outlet for that at home, so I needed to just kind of figure my way through it. Just, I don't know, just grace. I think it was just grace.
Yeah.
At that point. Mainly, I finished school. One thing I told myself was, when I was like around 19, was that now this is my life. I have no one is responsible for my choices. No one is responsible for my life going forward, despite of people like supporting me with school and stuff like that. I knew from this point a lot of what I'm gonna do will have to be my own choice.
Yeah.
So even going to campus, I like did my whole application. I paid for my whatever I needed to pay, like costs in terms of application and stuff like that. And I just went home and told them, this is what I want to do. This is how much it costs. This is the school I'm going to. Full stop. Because I was just like, if going forward, it has to be things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And that works for me. So I think now where I am is understanding. I think what you've said, taking accountability of your choices, learning to also not always want to understand everything. That adulthood is not essentially you figuring out everything.
Yeah.
That you need to know everything. Because at some point I felt like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know
It's not
where. Yeah. And so now I'm at the comfort of just learning on how to trust the process more. And not essentially always having to have it all figured out, but trusting that whatever step I need to take today, that I'll have the courage or the wisdom, or whatever it takes to at least take that step for today as I figure out what comes next.
Yeah.
And that has worked to at least help me not overthink or get frightened and all those things, because adulthood can be it's like you're being thrown out there and then you're told, figure it out. And then they'll call you, why have you not achieved this by this time, or why have you not done this by this time? Yeah, so I think that's how my adulthood, I think for me it has just been layers of choices continuously. And I think also partially losing my parents when I was young made me also like grow up quickly, because I needed now to be more, and I was dealing with so many people. I needed to be more conscious of what's happening around me. Otherwise, I felt like I would have gotten lost in the whole
which is
things that were happening.
Yeah.
So expectation versus reality. What were your expectations then, or expectations you've ever had about adulting, and what's your reality now about it?
Let's see. I think I didn't expect adulthood, like shifting from home to being independent. I didn't expect it to be rough. I think I had a rough start. Like even getting into the job market was really, really hard, but it really taught me a lot on humility, a lot on just crunch whatever you're given, like just handle it, do it with like to the best of your capability. So my expectation was that it wouldn't be as difficult, but then I found out it was difficult, and for some reason I appreciated how difficult it was, because even when I was going through that period, because there'll always be periods, even right now things might be okay, but there might be another period. But even when I was going through that period, I didn't feel my spirit like is down or demoralized or all those things. I always felt like there's something, I continuously feel like there's something bigger, better, like in the space of my life. So even if transitioning was a bit hard and I didn't expect it, I haven't really come to be bitter about it or like have negative thoughts about it, but that was my one expectation that did not pan out. And then another one I had was I expected continuous I expected like a bit more support from my parents when I moved out. But
nothing.
Penny
less. Zero. Now it's the other way around.
It was so dry. I can't even remember the last time I got money from home. Like my M-Pesa is to home, not from home. So even the first couple of months, like I thought, like, how are you doing? Do you want food? Kai, ghetto is the ghetto. So none of that happened. So I really and the salary was like peanuts at that time. So you have to figure out how you're going to do. It was so stressful because I didn't think that would happen. And even at that point, even within that 1 month when I'd moved out, I was getting calls to send, send money. And I was like, my God, ukijua how much I'm earning, but I don't want to say because I don't want to maybe give you stress or something. But that was difficult. And that was not something I was expecting. Because I know even if I've grown up a certain way or been a certain way, my mom is very supportive. Like she might forget for a week. You might tell her you're dying of hunger in school. She might forget a few days and all that. But when she remembers or when you remind her, she'll come through. So I didn't expect this. I was like...
that she'll remember.
Yeah, I was like, like, shtua my M-Pesa, man.
Yeah.
But none of that happened. And then, I guess another thing I was expecting... Was there another thing I was expecting? I was expecting to have... Okay, I wasn't sure which field I wanted to get into.
Yeah.
But one thing I knew was I wanted to get into a field where I feel like I'm helping people. Like an organization that has a social mission, something like that. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I remember my first job was as a waitress, actually. So it wasn't smooth sailing to get into what I'm doing now. And I didn't necessarily expect it would be smooth sailing after nimepigo reality check, after moving from home. But I wanted to do that. And I thought even as I apply, because I remember I did so many applications, I thought it would happen. Like you can't send out so many applications and not get
one.
I mean, surely. You can't just, every day you're trying to reach 5 or 6 or whatever applications, and you don't even get a rejection. You get nothing. Silence.
Ghosting.
So, kabisa. Kumbe.
The ghosting, it happens.
So it's not just in relationships.
Not just in relationships.
So, I guess that was one thing that I really didn't expect.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that also makes me panic in terms of my younger sister. Because I'm like, getting into the job market is not as easy.
It's not easy.
Like, maybe some guys might have some bit of fortune.
Yeah.
Like, it might, for some guys, it can be like smooth sailing.
Yeah.
But the reality is, the way we are, with the way we've grown up in our society, it's not necessarily easy.
It's so not something that is automatic.
Yeah. So the way I had anxiety at that time, right now I'm now carrying anxiety for my baby sister. And it's because her expectations are what I expected. And me, I know the reality now.
Yeah.
And maybe she hasn't seen the whole picture of
yet.
How that reality looks like. Because we haven't had that conversation of what I did before I got to where maybe I am today. So I think that was one thing, like getting into the job market, getting support from home.
Yeah.
I think even I was expecting to do my master's real soon. But now with the way things, like my work environment, it's not necessarily a necessity. I'm not diminishing anybody who has their masters or whatever, but I've come to value experience, what you can actually do, how you relate with people at work.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I was valuing papers. I was like, I need to get my papers in order.
Yeah.
But now with the exposure I've had, I'm just like, okay, papers are good. But the experience you have, the people you're constantly in relation with, like the network you're keeping, those are fundamentally more important, because those guys who make you like get a promotion are the people you've interacted with and they believe in your capability.
Yeah.
They haven't been like, okay, Rita has a master's, you must promote her.
Yeah.
They're like, no, Rita has done this and done this and done this.
Yeah.
She needs to be promoted,
Yeah.
So I think I've also come to now value that sense of doing something and gaining experience, keeping good people around you, like having good relationship with your co-workers and all that. I've come to value that more than even how many or what papers do you have.
Yeah.
So I think that's also one of those things.
Yeah. Expectations versus reality. I think for me also, let me just start with school. I also thought that I will finish school, high school, go to campus, finish, have my degree, then the same cycle that you're told, right? My journey was a bit different. I did my diploma. Thought I'm gonna finish my degree first. I dropped out. I've worked, and now I'm currently working. And then I'm also taking myself to school right now.
Yeah.
And when I was dropping out, I was just like, you know what? I think for me, I always go for things that I feel. Sometimes I take riskier decisions if it costs me my peace. That is so important, that I am in the right headspace. And so when I found myself, I'm in a position I'm not in that headspace, just like, you know what? I've had people who said they dropped out and they made it, and that was Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. Kwani, what is different? You know, I know I'm not in Harvard, but yeah. And now also how even I look at education now when I'm going back to school, it's different. It's totally different because I've now worked in the job market, and definitely has changed. Like, my attitude is not get that paper, is get what, like, the knowledge, the networks also still in school. Don't just go for any school, go for what you think you can be able to afford, that is best and gives you quality, and not just looking at it from like, I need to finish this 4 years, I need to get my degree at the end of it. Is by the time I'm getting that degree, it has had like layers of growth. And so even how I was looking at it, it was so different. So I never expected that I would be restarting a whole different degree now, because it wasn't what I was initially doing, and taking myself to school. That was not my expectation, but that's my reality now. And I think it's also tied to, I didn't also think that I'd have to be like making so many decisions every single day. You're making decisions every single day, man. Every single day. There's so many. You know, it's the bills, it's the food, it's what are you gonna eat? It's you know, are you going to the gym or not? You know, there's this call, or how do you even send this email? It's so many decisions in a day. They can even drive you crazy. I just thought, these things are natural, you know, you should be able to like know how these things should go. But then when you get yourself there, you figure out, so I need to decide whether I'm putting an A or an L, or I'm doing what and what, you know. And it's so many decisions, and some decisions are very heavy, like money decisions, life partner decisions. At this, when I was young, I think I didn't have an expectation that, you just thought you'd find someone, you'll have a family. Oh, you didn't know that there's a process to getting somewhere.
You didn't know there was Nairobi.
You didn't know there was Nairobi. You didn't know you're born in Nairobi. And that has an effect on how these things work out. And so I think that one was it. And then the second one that I've come to learn just from the environment is, you know, being good does not always mean all the good things will work out for you. And that life is unfair sometimes, and we would want to ask a lot of questions and try to be like, you know, but I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. Why is this not happening to me? Why is this happening to this other person? Why, you know, all those questions. And even sometimes, like for me, being like employed and I don't have a degree, sometimes it also feels like that. Somebody questions like, okay, you don't have a degree, okay, well, how did you get that job? How did you? And I cannot explain how. But I've just come to learn that sometimes things don't always. We have always been taught there's a straight way on how to do these things. I've come to realize it's not a straight line. It's not a straight line that you can see up to the end. It has its valleys and mountains and all those things. And so sometimes things will happen. You won't be able to understand why they're happening that way. And some things will happen, like things will just happen. But I also think things always align, and there's always a reason for all the things that happen, whether good or bad. True. Unfortunately. And then And then also, I think the expectation I had is that I'll be able to always have a clear vision about everything I'm doing.
Oh.
That you'll always have a clear, clear understanding. Is this a relationship? Yes, I can see it. It is this one.
That one should be the biggest scam of all.
It's always it's always the one until it's not. Is it, this job? This is the area that I'm supposed to be in. Is it? And then you realize it's not black and white.
Yeah.
It's not black and white. And sometimes you just have to walk through those, those trees and that a bit of darkness to kind of now start seeing a bit of light, right? At the end of the tunnel. Yeah. You have to walk through the tunnel to kind of get to the other end where you start seeing things work out. And so I didn't realize that. I thought I'd know,
it would come to
you. In school, what do you want to do? I want to be a doctor, University of Nairobi, and and then after that, I'm working at Aga Khan.
You want to be a doctor?
No, I'm just saying. Yeah. And that's what you usually think, and I also think had that expectation that I'll know every time what I need to be doing, but sometimes no, I don't know even what I'm doing. Sometimes you don't even know where is this here, why is what should be my next step after this. And that's reality. What about adulting gives you the chills? Yeah. Or what is one of that decision that you're like, oh my god, this is the prime of it?
I think managing somebody.
What do you mean by managing?
Like being a manager. That gives me chills.
Yeah.
Because I have seen, I've been managed by women for some reason. Yeah, all through.
Yeah.
So, and I really respect every lady who's been my manager.
Yeah.
And the fact, the respect I give them is not just because of their role, because they're my manager. It's because of the work they put into the role and the analytical way they think through problems.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes I can have thought through a problem and I'm like, okay, let me tell her this and this and this. This would solve it. And then when I present it, she comes up with something. Yes, it has adopted some of what I've said, but
bigger, better.
Baka, you're like, guy, where are those?
I also sometimes feel like
exactly.
That, yeah.
So I think that is one thing that gives me chills, gives me nerves. Because I want to be able to manage people, to be able to have, to say this for somebody to say this manager really impacted me, just the same way I'd say my managers have really played a role into who I am now. So that kind of having that kind of capacity to lead somebody and be able to mentor them, to let them grow, that gives me chills because I'm not sure where to start. Now I'm doing that global whatever course on leadership, but just the actuality, the reality of it,
it's a whole different ballgame.
And then emotionally also, it's hectic. It's just pure hectic. And the colder management, I respect managers, my God. So just, I think that is the one thing that really gives me chills because that's the next step that I would really want to hone in and be able to do really well. I know you can't be perfect. You can continue perfecting, but there's no epitome of you have reached, So I'd really want to hone that in, and that's the one thing that just gives me chills. How to do that. Am I supposed to do another degree or another, should I advance my education to a master's? What should I do to really prepare me for such responsibility and then once I take it up, how will I be comfortable and confident enough to manage somebody and tell them, no, this is not how it's done, this is how it should be done, or this approach might be better, because it's not from a don't do this, do that.
Yeah.
I believe in the management style of leading. First of all, them seeing how you're doing something.
Yeah.
And then also having conversations with people rather than mandating people. I don't remember which leadership style that is. But I'm going to tell you there on the other episode. But that's the one thing that just gives me chills. It's nerve-wracking. It's one thing.
Do you have another one? You can share another one.
No, I don't want to share another one.
You don't share. You have another one, but you don't share it. Okay.
You said one. I'm sticking to your question.
So for me, I think it's just what gives me a chills is that I have to make fundamental choices for my life, and that I'm not always sure whether it's the right choice I'm making. And that gives me the chills because you're just like, you can make one decision that takes you 100 steps back.
Yeah.
And you don't answer that for yourself. So every day you're extra cautious to make sure that, if it's money or it's whatever, it's your friendships, it's your relationship with your family, it's all these other different aspects of life that every day, whatever choice you're making is supporting whatever that is to move forward and not move backwards. I think also for me, the other thing that gives me the chills adulting is family, like my own family, like me choosing someone, making that decision, saying now this is it, now let's start building. That gives me the chills because it's a very, for me, I take that decision seriously because I feel like it's a decision that can easily propel you
or
break you. You can see Johnny Depp, that is like, these things happen and you never know, and people keep changing, and today make this choice because that's who they are now. You never know what happens in the next 10 years. And that decision is so important because it's something that involves not just your brains, it's not just a logic, it's emotions. It is intertwined. It's the most important relationship after your parents' relationship. Nothing can ever get to those two level of relationships, whether it's your sister or your friends or whatever. So whatever next choice that you have to make, even in your career and how you progress forward, kinda somehow will be affected with this other relationship. So I think that decision also gives me the chills because you never know. These things you never know. You never prepare for them. You never get prepared for them. Even if you go through how many kind of like relationships or stuff like that, you never get fully prepared for another relationship that goes good or goes bad.
And it's so much effort and time.
Yeah. So that is one of like those things just gives me the chills because they're like, man, I can be right, but I can also be wrong.
Yeah.
And things can go either way. And so every day you just wake up, make whatever choice you make, and hope that that's the right one. Yeah.
That's a good one. I don't even know how people do, like a woman does, like working.
Yeah.
And family. Like you have kids and the husband. Mad respect for all those guys who are doing it, because I'm just like, it's hectic. It's hectic.
And that now you have like decisions that you cannot just make out of the blues.
You need to consider them.
That you need to consider them. You need to consider what are they thinking, all those things.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of appreciate the season I'm in now, because now it's just me.
Yeah.
It's not so many responsibilities. And I always say that one thing I appreciate about the season I'm in is that I have a good opportunity to take risks, fail, get up, and move on.
Yeah.
I don't have as much, like it doesn't affect as many people as it would affect when I start a family, or when when I have kids and I have a husband and I have to think about now not just me but other people. And so at this period is when you're just like, just put in that work, if that investment, try it
as much as
try all those different things that you want to try, And then, when these things come, because they also don't have like an exact timing, it can be early for some, which is still good. And I think it's still great if it started early for you and you got that person. And whether it comes later in life, and I think it's still okay. I think whatever phase in your life you are in, I think it's okay. It's just that for me, I think it's a very important thing.
Yeah.
Before I take that step, that I'm kind of clear, though I cannot be fully clear about it.
Yeah.
But it's something that gives me just, you can never be 100. Yeah, so it gives me a bit of chills. And the fact that, man, we are growing older, it doesn't make it any easier, man. It doesn't make it any easier. It makes it actually way harder than I would like at 22, because at 22 I would not be thinking about all the things that I need to be doing. I'll be like, yeah, he's handsome, he's in it. But now there are things that need to align before you're like, okay,
yeah,
let's
but
do
now I'm
this.
thinking like I don't know, I think it's maybe seeing a lot of people like Jules in their 30s driving. It doesn't, like right now I feel like, okay, according to how they look right now, I feel like right now we are still like very young. And then I don't know, my notion is starting a family at 30 would be more preferable, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because of that influence of seeing like they are able to have their own craft, their own thing going, so it doesn't feel like now they are like trying to juggle creating something. They've already created something, they have like a solid something. Now, if bringing in other parties doesn't seem like, maybe I'm judging, but bringing other parties wouldn't seem as hectic as when right now you're trying to create and find your niche and all those things. I feel like now would seem, for some, okay, for me, I feel like it would seem chaotic.
I think for me, I think it depends. Because I've also seen Mpumi.
Oh yeah.
I've also seen Mpumi, and I've seen Leoncia. And I'm very sure, I hope she watches this, Leoncia and Anto.
Yeah.
I've seen young couples do it, like they're also trying to figure it out, and they're doing really well.
Yeah, true.
From what you can see. And I think for me, it's just making that decision and saying, this is the person I want to walk this journey with. Because I don't think this, at any point in your life, your life will stop being chaotic.
Yeah.
There's no time in your life you'll say, now I do not have as many dreams as I used to have. Now I can have a family. I don't think it can get to that point, because if you're a person if you're an ambitious person, you have like these things you want to do at your 40s, 50s and all that, there always be things that you want to be achieving in your life. And having this other person in your life, it's as a fundamental decision as you make as you want to be promoted. It's as a fundamental decision. So if you want to have, the question here is, do you want to have a person in your life or not? And if you want a person in your life, then you have to I feel like you have to, the same psychology you use to progress everything, other things in your life, then you have to be because this is as important, and it's going to affect your life the same way every other thing that you make a choice on will. That's how I think about it. That's how I think about it. I don't think about it like this will be like another thing. If I want it then you can have it then. Just like if I want this and I know I want this in my future, because this thing can make you, even at your 100 best and with all the things that you've created, to come back to zero. And you've seen that with actors, you've seen that like with best artists and stuff. People who have been at the prime of their game calm down because of relationships that never worked.
It's so hectic.
Yeah.
It's not like a sure bet.
Yeah. And we're turning this into a relationship conversation. But I think also adulting is about conversations. It's about relationships a lot. And let's talk a bit about our expectations about adulting and friendship. Because that's a whole different ball game. I think for me, it has been relationships in adulting that I feel like they're a bit different. They require a lot of work, more work than more. You need to put in a lot of intentionality than you would in primary school or in high school.
What were you even doing in primary school?
Or in high school. Right now you'd be like, I need to call this person, I need to check in on this person. I need to do a sleepover with this person. And also just understanding that you're on different paths.
To
and
do
that,
a sleepover with this person.
yeah. And also realizing that you're on different seasons in your lives, and when that happens, it can be tricky to maintain certain relationships, right? If somebody, for example, like me, if you get like married, things will change a bit. The dynamics between our friendship will change because now you're in a different path. I can't tell you, oh, let's do what, because that's a different thing. Also in terms of career-wise, some people might feel that, since you're progressing and maybe they have not moved, that those dynamics come into play and also affect. Tricky. And I think the same way we usually say we have to have important conversations with our partners and stuff like that, I think also in friendship, we have to meet a lot, but we also need to have those conversations. Like, I don't have money for us to go out right now, or this is how I am right now, or this is how I'm feeling right now. We don't usually
assume the money conversation.
Yeah, we always assume that, tuko tu. But we don't have like serious conversations with our friendship. And these are friendships that we want to nurture, then I think that is important. So that's something I've come to realize. Kitambo ilikuwa like, yes, we are friends, but now it's like, yeah, we are friends, but we need to. That needs to be, there's needs to be more intentionality, there's more investment. It becomes more closer because now there are things you're even working together towards. So I
think that's very true. I think when relationships in adulthood, I also have the same sentiments. Like, it takes more, not necessarily work. I don't feel like relationships are work. I just feel it takes a lot more intentionality as an adult.
Yeah.
If I am an adult.
Yeah.
Just being more conscious or cognizant of your relationship. This is not like when you were in campus or when you're in primary, you bring them something to eat, and then that's your girlfriend, that's your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then the following week you're with another new classmate. Like right now it's constant, that person being constantly aware of their presence, the value you bring to them, the value they bring to you. Like making time, consciously making time, being like, this is our time.
Yeah.
If it's the weekend is our time. Sunday is napping time. Like just consciously doing things that are for you too. And then also being in spaces where you can just tell your friend you can't do this a certain day because you made time with your boyfriend. Like just, I think having those kind of relationships with friends, with you, even with Gina, like this certain day or this certain weekend is this person's weekend. I think having that in friendships and people being able to respect that and not make you feel like, like they're doing, you're doing this or you're doing this. Having friends who actually support and are for growth for you and your partner is something I've actually realized is very important for your relationship. And also, I think even your opinion and Gina's opinion really matters to me in terms of partners. Because I would want to know, am I dating a ghetto person or am I dating an authentic person?
Yeah.
So having friends who can tell you, like, they won't bullshit you. They'll just tell you, this guy, no, So I think that's very fundamental in friendships as adults. And also the money aspect.
Yeah.
Like being able to say, okay, I know we can't go out because maybe you're short on cash, but let me cover for you, and then next time you can cover for me or something.
Yeah.
Because it's not a permanent space of being short on cash. Things will always okay, me, I believe I don't like calling negative stuff. So things will always be better. Like something better will come along. So just having friends like those is something I really value. And then cutting off friends, like when you now circle in and become compact with the people who now you value, like you value them, you now start to see your removing or shedding of friends who are not like you guys
who are
don't
not maybe aligning with that season.
It's not that they're bad people, it's just that you and them
misalignment now.
Maybe we'll align at some other point in our lives, but at this point, no. So I think that's something I value about like my friendships now, I don't have a lot of friends. But I really value, even if we are not close friends, like guys who I talk to maybe once a month or something like those, there's a value they bring to my life.
Sure.
You know, and I can go out to them maybe once in 3 months or 6 months. But that, in the way it is,
it's okay
works
for now.
You know,
Yeah, it's okay.
like adulthood is not texting every day, calling every day, like, yo, just chill. You know, it's about that. You can talk with your friend once a week, once a month, and you guys are still intact. I think that's something I have really come to value. That si lazima nikuongeleshe every other day so that you see that we are friends.
Adulting imechange. Kitambo ilikuanga unatafuta ka 10 bob. Mshinde tu hapa,
imagine. So is it nashangaa Rita, how? Where was that money, by the way? Because I'm imagining ningeka hizo 10 bob. You know, so just having that kind of space, but still good friends who come through for you, who make time and travel all the way to Georgia. It's just, I really, really like the space of friendship that we are in adulthood. It's really satisfying.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not easy, but it's something that we'll continuously keep on learning, because I think friendships now are more integral. They mean much more. And then also the better you understand yourself, the better you're also able to have healthier relationships. And I think one of the things that I'm appreciating in my adulthood is getting to learn more about myself. Getting to be more intentional about things that I want to do, and also putting myself out there and having that courage to put myself out there, and choosing and just being constantly conscious of, you know, if I'm better, then other people around me will be better. The relationship that you have with your family, because family is another thing that needs to be discussed in our adulthood. I think the dynamics are changing and they're shifting, and you can even feel it
a lot.
And that's why I feel like it's a lot of decisions every single day, man. It's a lot of decisions, like, today will I need to talk to this person or not, or you know, is this a relationship that I want to cultivate or not? And so I feel like it's just a choice a day as you figure things out. And I think that's why the podcast is figuring it out, because adulting is not black, it's neither gray or it's neither white. It's whatever it is at whatever moment it is.
Sure.
So I just want to wrap it up, maybe my final comments, and then you can give yours with a quote I just came across today. And this is about when we are adulting, we give ourselves too much pressure. Kwanza when we're in our 20s, because we are feeling like we should know certain things, we should have done certain things at a certain time. We should this is the decade where you're expected to get married, expected to have worked, expected to have thrived in your career, expected to have, you know, all these things have already come together. You should have a house. What you do in our 30s, but that's what
you enjoy
what
you did in your 20s.
So the next time you realize you're being too hard on yourself, think about all of the beautiful, imperfect people that you love. You accept them as they are. You are thankful for them. You love them, flaws and all. You deserve that kind of love. Start by giving it to yourself.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
So we are always tolerant. We are always cautious with other people. Apply that kind of love to yourself and just show yourself grace, and just realize that we are in this boat together. Ata sisi tuko tu hapo, we are still trying to understand. I'm always like, this adulting that you are told of, sometimes it looks like a scam, but it is actual life, you know. Your final comments?
Do I have any final comments?
Kitu.
Let's see. What do I have to say? I think I'm going to end with adulthood is your own journey. Whatever I'm going through in this phase of my adulthood might not be what you're going through.
Very true.
And I think it does not diminish what you're going through just because it's not what I'm going through, or the other way around. So just do what you're doing. If it's for your own benefit, your own mental health, your own growth, if you feel like this is something that really works for you, just do it. Take risks. Like, put yourself out there. Nobody is ever going to tell you, like, when you're old, hakuna mtu atakwambia, oh, you remember all those risks ulichukua? They were very pathetic and all that.
Yeah.
Like, just take that risk, text that crush, tell him you like him. You know, show up for
Pull
that.
those shots.
If you're aiming for that promotion,
Go for it.
Go for that promotion. Do all those leadership courses. Just put yourself out there. You will get hurt, battered, and all those things. But at the end of the day, you'll be proud of who you will have become because of all that stretching you'll have put yourself through. So do your
and you can do
adulthood
it. You have it in you.
Yeah. So that's it.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I know it has been adulting. It has been just
Mambo jumbo.
That episode. But thank you so much, guys, for listening in. Please make sure you share with your friends and family. Give us your comments. Follow us on We Are Feel on all social media platforms. Listen to the podcast. We are in all podcast platforms, and also on YouTube. And so we are looking forward to just listen to hear what you have to say about the topic. What are you learning about adulting? What are your challenges? What are you going through? What are you learning? You know, what are your experiences? And also, so that we also learn from you, you know, and learn from your experiences. And, you know, when you all learn together, we all grow together.
True.
So thank you so much and have a good time. Bye.